These are the people who single-handedly prove that airport security exists for a very good reason. A guy who packed an actual boat anchor in his backpack, apparently forgetting he wasn't boarding a yacht. Someone who taped a pet scorpion inside a jar and hid it in their makeup bag like that's a normal beauty routine. And some absolute mastermind who wrapped a machete like a birthday gift, because nothing screams surprise quite like a felony. These are 49 real, TSA confiscated fails from travelers who clearly skipped the thinking part of packing. And if that kind of chaos makes your day better, hit subscribe right now, because this list only gets more unhinged from here. 1. A young man strolled toward the security line holding a golf club bag like he was heading straight for the course. Officers pulled it apart and found a fully loaded crossbow tucked inside the club compartment. The bolt was locked and ready to fire. One agent reportedly stepped back and asked if he was planning to golf or hunt his opponents. The man simply shrugged and said he forgot it was in there. Passengers nearby stared in disbelief as the weapon was bagged for evidence. Nobody at the gate could stop laughing about the world's most aggressive golf outing. 2. An old woman walked through the metal detector acting completely normal despite an odd bulge near her thigh. Security pulled her aside and discovered a live turtle taped snugly under her jeans. The tiny reptile blinked calmly as officers stared in confusion. She explained the turtle was a family pet, and she simply did not trust the cargo hold. An officer nearby joked that the turtle had better security clearance than most passengers. Other travelers in line begged to see the turtle before it was taken away. The woman insisted the turtle enjoyed traveling this way and had done it many times before. 3. An anxious traveler checked in a large suitcase that seemed unusually heavy for a simple weekend trip. Inside, wrapped tightly in several blankets, was a full-size chainsaw with its blade still attached. The padding was clearly meant to muffle any sound and hide the shape from the scanner. An inspector reportedly froze for a second before calling over a second officer to confirm what they were seeing. The traveler calmly claimed it was for a family friend who did landscaping work. Nearby staff joked that this was the least relaxing way to deliver a gardening tool. The chainsaw never made it past that counter. 4. An excited young man placed his carry-on bag through the scanner without a hint of nervousness on his face. The image showed several oddly shaped bundles stuffed inside plain tube socks. Officers unrolled them one by one and found a dozen raw eggs nested carefully inside like tiny fragile treasures. He explained his grandmother insisted homemade eggs traveled better in socks than in any carton. One agent could not hold back a laugh, while another asked if breakfast was really worth this level of commitment. Passengers behind him began whispering about the mysterious egg smuggler. The eggs did not survive the inspection process intact. 5. An older man wheeled his luggage through the checkpoint with a proud grin, as if he already knew he had something special packed away. Security unrolled his sleeping bag and discovered a fully built replica cannon hidden inside the padded lining. It was heavy, detailed, and looked frighteningly real from a distance. He explained it was a gift for his history-obsessed nephew, who collected miniature war memorabilia. An officer joked that this was the most elaborate birthday present they had ever confiscated. Other travelers gathered nearby just to see the cannon before it disappeared into evidence. The nephew reportedly never received his gift. 6. A quiet woman traveling alone caught attention when her suitcase revealed strange, dense shapes stacked in neat rows. Agents opened several hollowed-out books and found an entire snow globe collection hidden inside each one. Tiny glitter and liquid had begun leaking between the pages during the flight delay. She insisted the collection was fragile and needed extra protection from baggage handlers. An officer noted that hollowing out books was an unusually crafty smuggling method for something so harmless. Nearby passengers were amused watching miniature snow scenes tumble out of what looked like ordinary novels. The soggy books were declared a total loss. 7. An impatient teenager wearing an oversized jacket walked through the metal detector and immediately set off repeated alarms. Officers discovered the jacket contained 80 separate hidden pockets, each one holding a different small pocket knife. The teen claimed he collected knives as a hobby and simply wanted them close during the flight. One agent joked that he was basically wearing a mobile hardware store. Other passengers stared in disbelief as knife after knife was pulled from sleeves, collars, and hems. The confiscation process alone took nearly 20 minutes to complete. The teenager left the checkpoint significantly lighter than he arrived. 8. An elderly man calmly placed his oddly bulky seat cushion onto the scanning belt like it was nothing unusual. Officers noticed strange metallic shapes layered beneath the fabric and pulled the cushion apart piece by piece. Inside was a fully disassembled medieval suit of armor, hidden plate by plate. He explained he simply wanted his prized collectible clothes instead of risking it in cargo. An agent asked if he planned to defend the plane if turbulence got rough. Nearby travelers burst out laughing as metal chest plates and gauntlets were laid out for inspection. The armor was eventually packed separately for safety reasons. 9. A young woman walked briskly through the checkpoint, appearing slightly stiff but otherwise unbothered by the weight. A pat-down revealed something unusually cold pressed against her side, hidden beneath her shirt. Officers were stunned to find a fully frozen fish tucked snugly inside her bra. She explained she wanted it to stay cold until she reached her cousin's house for dinner. One agent could not stop laughing while filling out the incident report for the unusual discovery. Other passengers nearby whispered questions about why she did not simply pack it in ice instead. The fish was quickly separated from her before boarding. 10. An emotional grandmother stood in line holding a neatly wrapped gift box, with a cheerful bow on top, smiling as if it were nothing more than a birthday present. When agents unwrapped it for inspection, they found a fully sharpened machete resting inside the box. She insisted it was meant for her son, who enjoyed trimming thick brush on his property. An officer noted that most people simply mail these instead of carrying them through an airport. Nearby travelers gasped as the blade was lifted carefully from the wrapping paper. The gift never made it anywhere near her son's birthday party. 11. An overconfident man carried a large duffel bag through the checkpoint, insisting it only held camping gear for a weekend trip. Officers noticed strange movement inside the bag and opened it carefully to investigate. Inside was a live pet alligator curled up and surprisingly calm given the situation. He explained the alligator was basically a dog with scales and completely harmless. An officer stepped back immediately and called for backup before touching anything further. Nearby passengers screamed and scattered away from the conveyor belt. The alligator was safely contained and the man missed his flight entirely. 12. An elderly woman placed a thick photo album onto the scanning belt with a nostalgic smile on her face. The image revealed unusual dense shapes hidden between the pages that did not match ordinary photographs. Officers opened the album and discovered several inert grenade replicas tucked carefully inside hollowed-out sections. She explained they belonged to her late husband, who collected military memorabilia for decades. An agent gently noted that family photo albums rarely require this level of security clearance. Other travelers peered over curiously as the strange collectibles were removed one by one. The album was eventually returned minus its hidden contents. 13. A frustrated businessman rolled his suitcase through the checkpoint, expecting a routine and uneventful inspection. Officers noticed one wheel appeared unusually thick and asked him to step aside for a closer look. Inside the hollowed-out wheel was a fully concealed Bowie knife wrapped tightly in cloth. He claimed he forgot it was there after a hunting trip months earlier. An officer joked that this was the most creative luggage modification they had seen all year. Nearby travelers whispered about how long that knife must have been hiding unnoticed. The suitcase was eventually cleared after the wheel was fully disassembled. 14. An enthusiastic hunter wore a bulky winter coat despite the mild weather at the terminal that day. Officers grew suspicious of the extra weight and asked him to remove several layers for inspection. Underneath was a vest lined completely with shotgun shells sewn into hidden fabric pockets. He explained he simply wanted his ammunition close, instead of risking damage in checked luggage. An agent noted that wearing ammunition like a fashion accessory was a new one for the record books. Other passengers stared as shell after shell was removed from the heavy vest. He left the checkpoint noticeably lighter and much less padded. 15. A theatrical performer carried an oddly long umbrella case through the checkpoint without a hint of concern. Officers noticed the case felt unusually rigid and asked him to open it for a closer inspection. Inside was a full-sized prop sword, crafted to look remarkably authentic under the terminal lighting. He explained it was needed for a stage performance happening later that same week. An officer admitted the craftsmanship was impressive even while confiscating the item completely. Nearby travelers asked to see the sword before it disappeared into a secured bin. The performer continued to his gate, holding only an empty umbrella case. 16. A stylish young woman placed her makeup bag onto the scanning belt without a single worried glance. The image revealed an object shaped exactly like an ordinary tube of lipstick sitting among her cosmetics. Officers examined it closely and discovered it was actually a fully functional stun gun in disguise. She explained she carried it for personal safety while traveling alone in unfamiliar cities. An agent noted that this particular lipstick shade came with far more kick than expected. Other passengers watched curiously as the device was tested and confirmed to be real. The disguised weapon was confiscated before she reached her gate. 17. A rugged outdoorsman carried a rolled-up yoga mat tucked beneath his arm at the security line. Officers noticed the mat felt unusually heavy and asked him to unroll it for inspection. Inside was an actual boat anchor, hidden carefully within the rolled fabric layers. He explained he needed it for a fishing trip planned immediately after landing. An officer joked that most fishermen simply rent anchors instead of carrying their own through airports. Nearby travelers laughed while watching the heavy metal object get lifted from the mat. The anchor was left behind while he continued on to his flight. 18. A bookish traveler carried a thick hardcover novel that seemed slightly heavier than its pages should allow. Officers flipped through it and noticed the center had been carefully hollowed out and reshaped. Inside was a set of sharpened throwing stars nestled snugly within the carved pages. He explained the book was originally a gift, and he never bothered checking its contents thoroughly. An agent noted that this was quite possibly the most dangerous plot twist in any story that week. Other passengers leaned in to see the unusual literary discovery for themselves. The novel was confiscated along with its hidden weapons. 19. An experienced camper wheeled a rolled-up sleeping bag through the checkpoint, labeled clearly as basic camping gear. Officers noticed an unusual rigid shape pressing against the fabric during the routine scan. Inside was a large metal bear trap, fully intact with its jaws still capable of snapping shut. He explained it was meant for protecting his campsite from wildlife encounters later that week. An officer noted that airports were generally not the ideal place to transport active traps. Nearby travelers stepped back nervously once the trap was fully revealed on the table. The device was removed, and the camper continued on without it. 20. A cheerful mother packed her child's stuffed backpack for what she assumed was an ordinary family trip. Officers noticed unusual stiffness along the backpack's lining during a routine inspection. Inside was a set of brass knuckles hidden carefully within the padded fabric seams. She insisted she had no idea how the item ended up inside her child's bag. An agent noted that this discovery was certainly not on the usual list of school supplies. Other parents nearby exchanged nervous glances while watching the inspection unfold. The backpack was eventually cleared once the hidden item was fully removed. 21. An eager hiker carried a large flashlight clipped to the side of his backpack at the checkpoint. Officers noticed the casing felt oddly heavy and asked him to open it for closer inspection. Inside was a fully loaded flare gun hidden cleverly within the hollowed-out flashlight shell. He explained it was meant for emergency signaling during a remote wilderness trip later that month. An officer noted that most emergency gear does not usually disguise itself as household items. Nearby travelers watched in surprise as the flare gun was carefully removed and secured. The flashlight was returned to him minus its dangerous hidden contents. 22. A sharply dressed businessman wheeled a garment bag through the checkpoint filled with neatly folded suits for a conference. Officers noticed an unusual long shape pressed between the layers of fabric during the scan. Inside was a fully sheathed katana, hidden carefully among his professional wardrobe. He explained it was a family heirloom he simply forgot to declare before the flight. An agent noted that most conference attire rarely comes paired with a functional sword. Other passengers leaned closer to catch a glimpse of the unexpected blade. The suits continued on without their unusual hidden companion. 23. An eccentric collector wrapped a strange bundle in soft towels before placing it gently into his suitcase. Officers unwrapped the bundle and discovered a fully taxidermied baby alligator staring blankly upward. He explained it was a prized possession from his personal collection of unusual oddities. An officer admitted it was one of the stranger discoveries made that entire week. Nearby travelers gathered closer despite clearly being unsettled by the lifeless reptile. Some passengers even asked to take photos before it was placed into evidence. The collector left without his prized taxidermy display that day. 24. A confident contractor carried a heavy toolbox through the checkpoint, claiming it was strictly for work purposes. Officers noticed the bottom of the box felt unusually thick during a routine inspection. Beneath a false panel was a fully loaded nail gun hidden away from plain sight. He explained he simply forgot to remove it after finishing a job the previous week. An agent noted that most contractors ship their tools separately instead of risking this outcome. Other travelers watched as the nail gun was carefully unloaded and confiscated. The toolbox continued through security, significantly lighter than before. 25. A fashionable traveler carried what appeared to be an ordinary travel umbrella through the scanning line. Officers noticed unusual weight distribution along the handle during a closer inspection. Inside was a collapsible baton designed to look exactly like a simple umbrella shaft. She explained she purchased it online for personal protection while traveling through unfamiliar cities. An officer noted that this particular umbrella offered far more than protection from rain. Nearby passengers watched curiously as the baton extended fully during testing. The disguised weapon was removed before she continued toward her gate. 26. An avid swimmer rolled a beach towel tightly and tucked it beneath his arm at the checkpoint. Officers noticed an unusual rigid shape pressing firmly against the fabric during the scan. Inside was a fully loaded spear gun with its safety switch left completely off. He explained it was meant for spearfishing during an upcoming beach vacation. An agent noted that the safety being off made this discovery far more concerning than usual. Nearby travelers stepped back nervously once the weapon was fully revealed. The spear gun was secured immediately and removed from his luggage. 27. A cheerful traveler carried several neatly wrapped gift boxes through the checkpoint, claiming they were holiday presents. Officers noticed unusual density and shape inconsistencies during the routine scanning process. Inside were several inert artillery shells wrapped carefully like ordinary holiday gifts. He explained they were replica collectibles meant for a relative who collected historical memorabilia. An officer noted that gift wrapping rarely disguises something quite this alarming. Other passengers gathered nearby just to see the unusual holiday surprise. The boxes were confiscated well before reaching their intended recipient. 28. An injured traveler wore a large arm cast that appeared completely genuine to everyone around him. Officers noticed unusual rigidity along one section of the cast during a routine pat-down. Inside a hidden compartment was a folding knife tucked carefully out of sight. He explained the knife was placed there before the cast had fully hardened weeks earlier. An agent noted that this was an unusually creative use of a medical accessory. Nearby travelers whispered about how long the weapon must have gone unnoticed. The cast remained intact while the hidden blade was removed completely. 29. A relaxed vacationer rolled a beach towel loosely around an object, tucked into his carry-on bag. Officers noticed an unusual heavy shape pressing against the fabric during the scanning process. Inside was a large meat cleaver, wrapped carefully within the folded towel layers. He explained he intended to prepare fresh seafood during his upcoming beach trip. An officer noted that most vacationers simply purchase kitchen tools after arriving at their destination. Other passengers watched as the cleaver was carefully removed and placed into a secured bin. The towel continued on without its unexpected hidden contents. 30. A worried mother carried her child's favorite teddy bear through the checkpoint without a second thought. Officers noticed unusual stiffness within the stuffing during a routine inspection of the toy. Inside was a canister of bear spray hidden carefully within the plush fabric lining. She explained she forgot it was placed there after a hiking trip months earlier. An agent noted that this teddy bear carried far more protection than most stuffed animals. Nearby travelers exchanged surprised glances while watching the canister get removed carefully. The teddy bear was returned to the child minus its hidden defense mechanism. 31. A retired photographer carried a worn camera bag through the checkpoint, claiming it held nothing unusual at all. The scanner revealed excessive density inside, and an agent asked him to open it for a closer look. Tucked within hollowed-out compartments was a collection of antique dueling pistols wrapped in soft cloth. He explained they were valuable collectibles inherited from a relative many years earlier. One agent admitted most camera bags rarely double as hidden weapons storage. A small crowd formed nearby trying to catch a glimpse of the ornate handles before they vanished into a bin. The pistols were carefully logged before he continued to his gate. 32. An energetic gym enthusiast carried a rolled-up bath towel labeled clearly as basic workout gear. The scan showed a rigid shape pressed tightly against the fabric that did not match ordinary athletic equipment. Unwrapping it revealed a pair of nunchucks hidden within the folded layers. He explained they were part of his personal training routine for martial arts practice. An agent tested the weapon briefly and confirmed it was fully functional and quite sturdy. Several passengers waiting in line whispered questions about his unusual training habits. The towel continued through security without its unexpected hidden contents. 33. A curious teenager carried a rolled-up magazine tucked casually beneath his arm at the checkpoint. The pages felt oddly firm on the scanner and prompted a request for further inspection. Rolled tightly inside was a modified slingshot he had built himself during summer break. He explained the project started as a simple hobby that grew more elaborate over time. One officer joked that reading material had officially entered a new category of danger. Other travelers laughed while watching the slingshot get tested briefly for accuracy. The magazine was returned to him minus its hidden mechanical addition. 34. An excited costume designer carried a garment bag through the checkpoint months before Halloween even arrived. The image on the scanner showed a long, rigid shape buried among the folded costume pieces. Inside was a full replica battle axe crafted with impressive detail for an upcoming cosplay event. She explained the event was still months away, but she liked to prepare far in advance. An agent admitted the craftsmanship looked almost too realistic under the terminal lighting. A few passengers gathered just to admire the design before it was taken for inspection. The axe was confiscated while the rest of the costume continued onward. 35. A glamorous traveler carried a small makeup compact tucked neatly within her designer handbag. The compact felt unusually heavy on the scale and prompted a closer physical inspection. Hidden within the hollowed-out shell was a telescoping baton that extended much further than expected. She explained she purchased it online for added protection while traveling internationally. An agent tested the baton fully and noted it worked exactly like a professional model. Several onlookers seemed surprised that such a small compact could hide so much length. The disguised weapon was removed before she proceeded toward her departure gate. 36. A nervous traveler carried a plain shoebox, insisting repeatedly that it was completely empty inside. A faint buzzing sound coming from within told a very different story during the scan. Opening it slowly revealed an intact wasp nest still active and clearly occupied. He explained he found it in his backyard and wanted to study it further at home. An agent stepped back immediately and called for specialized assistance with the discovery. People waiting in line scattered quickly once the buzzing grew louder near the counter. The shoebox was removed entirely and handled by trained staff members. 37. A hardworking landscaper carried a duffel bag filled with what appeared to be ordinary gym clothes. A firm object pressing beneath the fabric caught attention during the routine check. Digging past the clothing revealed a folding shovel with its edge sharpened to a dangerous point. He explained he used it regularly for yard work and forgot to remove it beforehand. An agent noted that most gym bags rarely contain sharpened gardening tools of this kind. Fellow passengers watched quietly as the shovel was examined and eventually confiscated. The duffel bag continued through security, significantly lighter than before. 38. An adventurous young woman carried a small makeup bag taped shut more securely than usual. Slight movement from inside caught an agent's attention during the routine scan of her belongings. Inside was a sealed jar containing a live pet scorpion resting quietly among her cosmetics. She explained the scorpion was a beloved pet she refused to leave behind during her trip. Additional handling procedures were called in the moment the creature was identified. Curious onlookers stepped back while photos were taken to document the unusual find. The scorpion was safely relocated before she continued toward her gate. 39. A determined reenactor carried a rolled-up sleeping bag labeled clearly as standard camping equipment. A heavy, uneven shape pressing against the fabric prompted further questions during the check. Inside the padded lining was a spiked medieval mace built with striking authenticity. He explained it was needed for an upcoming historical reenactment event scheduled that weekend. An agent admitted this was easily the most elaborate weapon replica seen that day. Several travelers leaned in to examine the spiked design before it was taken away. The mace was confiscated, while the sleeping bag continued onward without it. 40. An elderly gentleman walked through the checkpoint, leaning gently on a polished wooden cane for support. A pat-down revealed unusual rigidity running along the shaft of the cane itself. Hidden inside was a thin blade concealed cleverly within the wooden structure. He explained the cane originally belonged to his grandfather, and he never realized its hidden feature. An agent mentioned that antique canes occasionally carry surprises passed down through generations. People nearby watched closely as the blade was slowly removed and displayed. The cane was returned to him once the hidden blade was confiscated. 41. A tired traveler pushed a heavy suitcase toward the counter, insisting it only held clothes for a short work trip. The scan revealed a large rectangular object buried beneath several folded shirts near the bottom. Pulling back the fabric uncovered a full-sized fire extinguisher tucked away completely out of sight. He explained he grabbed it during a rushed packing session and forgot to take it back out. An agent noted that most safety equipment stays mounted on walls rather than tucked into luggage. Several passengers exchanged puzzled looks while the extinguisher was lifted out for inspection. The suitcase continued through security, considerably lighter than before. 42. A musician carried a guitar case through the checkpoint without expecting any unusual attention that day. The scanner showed a shape that did not resemble any instrument commonly seen at the counter. Opening the case revealed a fully strung hunting bow resting where the guitar should have been. He explained he switched cases quickly before leaving and grabbed the wrong one by mistake. An agent mentioned that this was certainly an unexpected instrument swap for anyone expecting music. Onlookers seemed amused watching the bow get carefully removed from its padded interior. The case was eventually cleared once the bow was set aside. 43. A construction worker wore heavy steel-toed boots that seemed ordinary at first glance during the walkthrough. A secondary scan revealed unusual shapes embedded directly within the sole of each boot. Closer inspection uncovered thin blades built cleverly into the boots themselves. He explained the boots were custom-made years earlier for a job that required extra protection. An agent noted that this design went far beyond standard safety footwear requirements. Fellow travelers stared at the boots being handled carefully on the inspection table. He continued through security wearing a plain replacement pair instead. 44. A young woman carried a shampoo bottle tucked neatly inside her toiletry bag like any ordinary traveler. The liquid inside triggered an unusual reading during the routine screening process. Testing revealed the bottle actually contained mislabeled corrosive chemicals rather than any hair product. She explained she refilled the bottle herself without realizing the chemical was still inside from prior use. An agent noted that this mistake could have caused serious harm without proper labeling. Nearby travelers watched nervously as the bottle was sealed and removed for safe disposal. She continued through security without the mislabeled container in hand. 45. A tech enthusiast carried a laptop bag through the checkpoint, expecting a routine and simple inspection. The scan revealed unusual blade-shaped objects tucked neatly beside the laptop itself. Inside was a small drone with blades sharpened to a dangerously thin edge. He explained he modified it himself as part of a personal hobby project. An agent noted that most drones are not designed to double as cutting tools. Several passengers leaned closer to examine the unusual modification before it was confiscated. The laptop continued onward, while the altered drone was set aside. 46. An impatient traveler carried a rolled-up jacket tucked casually under one arm at the checkpoint. The scan revealed several small cylindrical objects hidden within the folded fabric. Unrolling the jacket uncovered a handful of loose fireworks, along with a lighter tucked beside them. He explained he planned to celebrate a family event happening shortly after landing. An agent noted that carry-on luggage was definitely not the place for celebratory explosives. Nearby passengers stepped back once the fireworks were fully revealed on the table. The jacket continued through security without its unexpected contents. 47. A quiet traveler carried a rolled-up pair of socks tucked neatly into the corner of his bag. The scan revealed unusually sharp edges hidden within the soft fabric. Unrolling the socks uncovered a full set of throwing stars carefully wrapped inside. He explained he collected them as part of a hobby involving traditional martial arts weapons. An agent noted that most travelers simply pack such items in checked luggage instead. Several onlookers watched closely as each star was removed and placed into a secured tray. The socks were returned to him minus their hidden collection. 48. A martial arts instructor carried a rolled-up yoga mat tucked beneath his arm at the security line. The scan revealed a long, rigid shape running the entire length of the mat. Unrolling it slowly uncovered a fully sheathed samurai sword hidden between layers of folded clothing. He explained it was a treasured piece used during demonstrations for his students. An agent noted the craftsmanship looked impressively authentic under close inspection. Nearby travelers gathered to admire the sword before it was placed into evidence. The yoga mat continued onward without its hidden blade. 49. A frequent traveler wore a pair of sneakers that appeared completely ordinary during the initial walkthrough screening. A closer inspection revealed unusual stiffness hidden beneath the insole of one shoe. Peeling back the insole uncovered a small hidden syringe kit taped carefully out of sight. He explained the kit was for a medical condition he simply forgot to declare beforehand. An agent noted that proper documentation could have avoided this entire situation. Several passengers watched quietly as the kit was examined and eventually cleared for travel. He continued through security once the necessary paperwork was finally sorted out. And there you have it, 49 travelers who somehow thought airport security has never seen a slingshot magazine or a frozen fish bra before. Honestly, at this point, TSA should just start handing out comedy awards instead of confiscation slips. If this list made you laugh out loud or just quietly question humanity a little more, that's exactly why you're on BrainFumble. Smash that like button. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss the next batch of unbelievable stories. Share this with the one friend who definitely overpacks. Now drop a comment and tell me which point on this list was the most ridiculous one for you.